Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone. And I'm Dave Johnson, and I've got the pleasure of being online with Dr. Herbert Patino from Miami. And you just showed something in your hand a moment ago. Why don't you maybe kick off by talking about that for just a moment? What that is and why you do that? I have the same morning ritual. Jade Greenzymes.
Yeah, there you go. That's very important. Cheers to you and to everybody. I've had my grain signs here, so it's gonna be with all the amino acids that we need for the rest of the day.
All right. Yeah, I think there's over 1,000 different enzymes. So much of life is enzymes, and that is definitely food that is alive, and you can make living bodies a lot easier if your food is alive too. So anyway, Dr. Herbert, you're a surgeon. You had a clinic in Colombia. Had some challenges there. I guess maybe you can mention that a little bit, and how you wound up in Miami, and maybe your journey into NICAN, and then we can talk a little bit about just the power of self-care, taking charge of your own life, your own future, and if you have the right tools and information, you can make some mighty changes. And really glad to have an expert here. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, Dave, thank you very much. Yes, it's a pleasure to be again here today. With the group. Very briefly to the people that don't know me. Yeah, I'm a physician. I'm a general surgeon by school. I graduated from Universidad Javeriana, which is exactly the same as Loyola University here in the U.S. And did my practice as a surgeon, and then I did also an specialization on preventive medicine and public health. That I did it with one part with my country, and the other part I did it here in the U.S. with at the USF, University of South Florida, and I'm here in the U.S. for over 15 years now. Feel very blessed to be able to be here in America, and I know about these technologies for almost 13 years now. Been able to see how they work and how they react on people, and it's been pretty amazing. And it'll be a pleasure to be able to talk to you people, and let's get some questions. And if we see the way that we could help you out, it'll be a pleasure.
All right, fantastic. Would you like to maybe just kind of do a quick review of NICAN before we turn it to the questions and answers for somebody that is brand new? Well, that looks really good. I tell people, if you give your body Jade Greenzymes in the morning, it will wag its tail.
Oh yeah. I just had my Ciaga, my lactoferrin, then I got my Greenzymes, and it's my daily practice. And basically, for people that are coming new into knowing about NICAN and about all this, actually, I congratulate them, because it is the best way that you could do prevention, apply in a very simple, in a very practical manner, in order to do it with your body. It's a lot of times, Dave, very interesting how you could start talking to people and find out that a lot of times they don't know very much about prevention. They don't talk about prevention when they have a sickness. Usually, every time people has a sickness or a situation or a problem, the first thing that they want to do is to correct that situation. But in order to do that, they usually do it just trying to counteract the effect that they're having. Prevention, on the contrary, is going the opposite way. It's doing everything that you have to do in order not to get sick. But if you are already, is start doing all the steps that you didn't do before. And it's amazing how prevention, all the 7 areas of prevention, they're related in over 60% of the trigger that are causing any type of sickness. That's those 7 areas are the environment that you lived in, the air that you breathe, the water that you drink or the hydration, the quality and the quantity, there's rest and relaxation, the sleep that you're getting, nutrition, what type of nutrition, how you're balancing your nutrition, exercise, if you're doing, or the lack of it, or the exercise that you're doing, and habits, which are, environmental habits, personal habits, eating habits, sleeping habits, all type of things. And the moment that you start working into all of the things, therefore there your body is going to have a reaction. So that's one of the things, and that's why it's so important about knowing about what these technologies can do for you, because they could help you out to do exactly that, how to start doing all those things in a very practical way. So this company has been on the market for 40 years, and it impressed me very much that they are teaching people how to start doing all these things in a very practical way. So now you're basically letting your body the best environment at the most important time, that is at night, which is when the body is releasing the stress, getting back the alkalinity, and restoring the cells. So through a sleep system, through an air system that gives you all the negative ions, through your hydration, proper hydration, and doing the nutrition as a supplement. So it's very important that we understand that the moment that we get all those things together, then your body is going to start reacting in a way, in a very different way. I would recommend for people to see the results of the study of Dr. Blackburn. She's a scientist, and she won the Nobel Prize of Medicine in the year 2009, and specifically she was doing all the study at the molecular level. How do your cell reacts? How, if you give all these areas to your cell, now your cell is going to be way better. Dave, I see that there's some Q&A coming on the screen, and if you want me to, we could start answering them one by one, or you want to read them out loud. How you want to do it?
Oh, that sounds really good. And of course, when we talk about this, I like what you're just talking about, and Dr. Blackburn, and this idea that really health or sickness, it really begins on that cellular level. If your cells are healthy, the rest of you is healthy. But if your cells start malfunctioning, if they become sick from toxicity or malnutrition or stress or whatever, then pretty soon the organism itself will start manifesting that. And so basically just feed your cells, make them happy and healthy with things like the J greenzymes, getting a good night's rest, clear, pure, energized water, good air. All of the stuff that Niken has makes so much sense. And so I guess we should stress that we're not making medical claims, but we're just talking about common sense, that if you give your body the proper environment, the things it needs, then the body can heal itself, which is ultimately really what only can happen. If you break your leg, as an example, the doctor doesn't heal that broken leg. He puts the leg in an environment where the body can heal itself by aligning the bones and getting things in place, and then that healing begins within. And giving your body that healing energy to do that just makes a lot of sense. And so, yeah, let's go with that. Maybe you want me to read those, Dr. Herbert?
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead and do that, Dave.
Okay. Okay. Spinal. What's that word there? Is that can you see that? Mary Taylor asks an important question. Spinal. I'm trying to. Can you see that?
Oh, the first question, the Jenny question.
Mary Taylor.
Mary Taylor. No, I don't
Is it acronosis? Oh, my mind is just blank. Arachnosis spondylitis or something like that, or
cystic fibrosis. The first question.
well, I'm seeing ankylosing spondylitis is something like that, but it looks like a misspelling. But let's try that ankylosing spondylitis or something.
Yeah, Dave. For some reason, do I have the same questions in my web that you're watching this moment?
Maybe not. Okay, I'm seeing it quite a few. Araconite. Okay, ARACHNOIDITIS. Okay, I'm looking at Q&A.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Well, we got pretty interesting here, don't we? Okay.
Okay. Dave, if you want me to, I got some. Yeah, I did open there is a Q&A and there is also the chat room.
Okay, I've got both open.
Okay, perfect. So let me start with the ones that appear on my Q&A. Probably if they send it.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. Okay.
To all panelists, I got a question here from Jenny. She's asking about cystic fibrosis and what is the recommendation with the Nikken products. Basically, cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. It comes directly with a gene that is directly linked to genetics, and basically what it does is a change on the mucous system of the body. So it could have different symptoms and pulmonary symptoms or gastrointestinal symptoms, etc. And basically, it's a very well-known genetic disease. So how Nikken could help? Of course, every time you're going to have a situation that is compromising your immune system, Nikken is exactly going to work into that area. Probably the sickness that you're talking, somebody is asking, is about ankylosing spondylitis. That could be it. It's a little bit different than this one, but in this case, I'm responding to Jenny. In this case, everything that Nikken does is going to help the person to get into a different situation, into a better quality of life. If you start using the water, if you start using especially the sleep system, it's gonna open up the arteries, and the flow is gonna flow way better, and so the circulation is gonna react in a way different way. We have seen it if they have like pulmonary situations. Every time you get more oxygen into the lungs, and the airway is a little bit dilated, it's going to work very good. Remember that what the sleep system does, especially the magnet, the far infrared, and the pillow, is basically three things. One of them is interact with the neurotransmitters, so the people go into a rest and relaxation a lot more easy. But at the same time, at the cellular level, it produces an anti-inflammatory effect, and that effect, of course, diminish the pain, which is what most of the people see it. But on the other hand, it gets a way that the cell reproduces way better. Now, also with the air system, it produces active negative ions. Now, when the negative ions is produced, it's going to cause two things. One of them is going to get more oxygen into the hemoglobin, which is into the blood, and therefore going to the cells. And on the other hand, the negative ions, what they do is they produce relaxation. They produce sedation on the body. So all those things are going to be very useful when you're talking about a person with cystic fibrosis. There is a question from Tony Collins that says that he has a customer that asks to use the magnets on her dad, who is in a AFib. I don't understand what AFib really.
I think atrial fibrillation.
Atrial fibrillation. Okay. Now, atrial fibrillation. If none of the products none of the Niken products has any contraindication whatsoever with the heart or with the valves of the heart or anything at all whatsoever. The only situation with the magnets is the reaction that they are doing with the batteries. So if the people has anything that has to be with batteries, put it inside of the body, the magnets could diminish the lifetime of the battery and therefore affect the reaction of the machine. So it's not reacting bad because of the heart, but if this person has a pacemaker, of course, there is a recommendation to not use the sleep system because of that situation. But if it's not using, if it's not having a pacemaker, there is no contraindication whatsoever. So it could use it as well as everything that the person is doing. I got a question from Madeline Saworski. Hello, Madeline. So good to see you again, and so good to see you on the panel. It's been every time it's a pleasure when we get together, or I see you every time at the conventions. And she's asking what is the how we introduce the concept of the wellness home to being a customer first, and having all the combos of the technologies. I always introduce this to people basically as the first way that people could start doing a lot of things for themselves. It's very important, Dave, and I am very how you say it, putting a lot of emphasis on all these areas of how we could teach the people that everybody should do prevention at this moment. And the moment to do prevention is not when they have the sickness. The moment to do prevention is when they are healthy. That's exactly the best moment. So these Niken products are, first of all, they're not done to cure or to get rid of sickness. They are basically done so we could follow the 7 areas of prevention a lot easier, in a way, different way, in a most proper way, without any contraindications, without any secondary effects, and how we could start getting hydration, nutrition, good quality of air, and good quality of sleep. This is basically what all this is about. So now with the new plan, well, everything that we do is we just show the people. We do the demonstration. We do the session. Just come and have a session of rest and relaxation. People go in there and say, "How you feeling?" "Oh, I'm feeling great." Perfect. This is exactly what you need to do on an everyday basis, and that's pretty much the way that we use it. There is an anonymous viewer that says, "What is best for GERD?" I'm not sure exactly what those letters are for. So if you
that basically gastric problems.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, a lot of times people like to use a lot of getting everything short, and I have noticed that that's something that here in the U.S. everybody uses for everything. Everything is short. So from the most valuable player, okay, it's not called that. It's called MVP, and everything is just like little letters and little numbers and everything. We we're used to calling the whole thing, calling things by their name. All the gastrointestinal problems, and people has to know that the GI tract, it has a balance, and what Niken does is to help people to get that balance back. One of the most important things that the GI tract needs in order to work properly is water. Why is that? Because the GI tract is one of the organs, is the main organs to get back the water into the body if the people are not very well hydrated, especially the colon. And when people are not properly hydrated, he's gonna start extracting a lot more of the water from the GI tract, and there comes with a lot of situation, especially the colon start having to have a lot more peristalsis, which we call the movement of the bowels, and that leads to a malfunction of all these areas. Start going in an excessive way to do the force, start getting those little things in between, which at the end is going to end up being diverticulitis and all this other situation. The second part that the GI tract needs is to be alkaline. The alkalinity of the system is huge important, and that comes especially from greens, from water, from all the nutrition. The third part that we need on the GI tract is the gastrointestinal flora, the natural flora of the guts, and that's one of the things that people could manage very well through the lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is a great molecule, Dave. Probably most of the people have seen all the testimonials and all the presentations from Dr. Naindu. And actually, I've been using lactoferrin for so many things because not only it's going to improve the gastrointestinal flora, but it's going to serve to the cells as a regenerative situation that is going to help big time with so many other situations in the body where you need to get your body to regenerate the cells. There is another.
I've heard one doctor say that basically the digestive tract is the Achilles heel of human metabolism. That if you don't have good digestion, you can't nourish the rest of the body, and then of course it's a lot of energy is used in digestion, and if anything is compromised, then everything else becomes compromised. So it's just really important. Just a couple other things on that you mentioned water, and a lot of times people say, well, what is structured water? What does pie water actually mean, or all of these different things, and what is living water? And a lot of times we really don't know, but we do know that just over and over again, just I've had people that just have digestive problems, and they couldn't figure it out. I've got a friend who just really messed up, and the doctors, all they could offer was exploratory surgery that was going to be about $5,000 that wasn't going to be paid for except by them, just to go in and look around, and she got on the water, and everything went away. Just some other things is if I had GERD, a thing I'd look at is maybe putting a couple of books or something to prop up the bed a little bit. Definitely don't eat a lot of stuff late at night. The jade greenzymes are very sweetening. Lactoferrin, that's a huge thing. So there's a lot of tricks that you might be able to do. So anyway, it's a lot of possibilities with Niken and other things as far as that specific problem.
Yeah, perfect. Dave, I got a question also here that I see if Niken could help with arachnoiditis. Very interesting question. Basically, arachnoiditis is one of the membranes from the brain, which is called the arachnoid. And if it gets inflamed, if it gets swallowed, it's called arachnoiditis. One of the main reasons for that, or there are several reasons to have that, but there is known that it's something that it could be either for the excess of toxins into the body, also a bacteria or virus could produce it. But regardless of that, every time you're going to have a situation like that involves all the neural tissue, either on the brain or on the spine or everywhere else, of course, there is always going to be the pain, the discomfort is something that is really not comfortable. One of the main things that people need to know is that all the situations that most trigger a problem with the nerve system is stress. Stress and toxins are two huge big enemies of the body, all different through the whole body, but especially on the neural system. And every time you diminish the stress and diminish the amount of toxins, it's going to diminish the trigger that is going to, get all these situations. So therefore, the most indicated situation for that in that case is going to be the sleep system, of course. But at the same time that the sleep system is getting you into a better deep cycle of sleep, at the same time it's going to diminish the inflammation. So when I'm talking about diminish the inflammation, it's not like that you pump somewhere and you see how it grows. No, when I'm talking about inflammation, is at the cellular level. The cells itself, every time the cells get in a bad, not working properly, the process that we medically call is inflammation. So every time you get yourself with an anti-inflammatory effect, therefore, one of the things that you're going to notice is that the pain goes lower. To what degree, it depends individually on people. But every time that you're using something that is going to prevent the inflammation, is going to be good. And that's going to be helpful with not only the magnetism, but as well the far infrared. Far infrared has effect also. It gets alkalinity on the body and also gets an anti-inflammatory effect. So of course it's going to be helpful. Of course, the arachnoid and the Schwann capsule that the nerves goes in, one of the main raw materials that the body uses to build them up is amino acids, especially essential amino acids, and different type of vitamins. So when you get the Ciaga with all the antioxidants and the vitamins in an organic way, you're giving your body the essential things that it's going to need in order to start building up all these things. So of course, if you get the membrane irritated, well, the more oxygen is going to go to the brain or to the neural cells, the better it's going to be. So therefore, you need the negative ions. In Colombia, I don't know if you know it, but it's very typical in South America. In a lot of places in South America, we don't use air conditioning as much as here, and especially because we usually live up in the mountains. So air conditioning is not like mandatory for everybody. So we don't use it very much. But when we have a patient that we need for the patient to get more oxygenated, that we need to, that we're seeing that the patient needs that, we usually tell the people, go to the countryside, or go to a lower stage on the mountain, and therefore people are going to get that benefit. Of course, what we're telling people is go back there and get more negative ions, because that's going to be good for you. Well, in this case here in America, what we do is get an air system with Nikken. There you're going to have your negative ions, and now you're gonna feel like you're on the countryside, even though you're in the middle of your living room or your bedroom. That's pretty much the idea. How do you get rid how do you get rid of black line underneath fingernail and thumbs? I don't have no idea, and Nick could not help you with that whatsoever. I don't even know. You know, a lot of times people ask me how could Nick could help with so many things. Of course, listen, Dave. Every time you expose yourself to a better quality of life, to a better nutrition, to a better rest and relaxation, to a better hydration, to a better ventilation, to counteract the toxins, to counteract the all the effects that you got from light, from so many other things. Your body start reacting in a different way and get it healed by itself. But specifically in all these areas, I don't know how to answer that. How Nikkei could help improve with blood pressure? Of course it does, because one of the causes of high blood pressure, between the causes of high blood pressure, it's of course the quality of the arteries and the veins, right? And also the liquid that is inside. I always explain this to people. The blood is a liquid. If you're trying to make a juice, and you use, like, I don't know, papaya or whatever, and you make a juice, but the juice is too thick, what do you usually add in that case for that liquid to be, to go better? Well, you add water. Same thing with the blood. The blood is a liquid. If you want your blood to flow much better, one of the main things, a rule of thumb, is get hydrated. Every time you get hydrated, it's going to help with that. Now, if your vessels are going to be too stiff, usually stress is going to be a huge situation with high blood pressure. If you start releasing the stress, you're getting rid of a main problem that happens with blood pressure. At the same time, if you start getting back with your nutrition and you're getting antioxidants, you're taking progesterone in order to get better with the situation of cholesterol. All that is going to help your vessels, your blood lines are going to be much better. Think about the whole system in the body like a hydraulic system, like a swimming pool with a pump and lines and all those type of things. That's exactly what happened in the body. So the better that you have all your installation, the better it's going to be. I got a testimonial with high blood pressure with my dad. My dad was having a very bad situation for many years, and even though he was taking the high blood pressure medication, it was not really controlled exactly. Most of the time he was okay, but then he has these peaks that they're coming kind of out of control. Once he started deciding to get everything with Nikken, and when I'm talking everything is your whole environment, your sleep system, the air, the water, everything. About 6 months into it, he was able to diminish a third of the medication that he was taking. And like a year afterwards, he was able to diminish to half of the medication. So right now, my dad is taking half of the medication that he used to have before, but the beauty of it is that the blood pressure is completely steady. He doesn't have any more peaks whatsoever. Of course, he started getting way better with the rest and relaxation. He was not sleeping properly. He had an ulcer. He got rid of that situation as well, and he's controlling very well all the situations with high cholesterol and all the other things, then doing all the things of prevention. So he diminished from taking 10 different type of medications that he used to be like 10 years ago to now he's only taking 2 basically his blood pressure medication in a lower dosage. Of course, double check with his primary physician, but it's great. So everybody start talking to him. What do you know? What do you do in order for that to happen? And my dad now responds, I'm doing prevention on myself. I've taken care of the 7 areas of prevention, and that way I'm, feeling way better and helping my body.
That's really neat. I've got a friend, and he's a pharmaceutical rep, and he looked at the progesterol, and then he kind of looked at the ingredients and started doing some research with the bergamot orange and everything. And there is some studies out there, and he said that those numbers are better than Lipitor. That's what he said, and I thought, wow, that's high praise indeed, without any downside, no side effects. And so we really do have an exciting product based on that. So it's pretty neat stuff.
Mm-hmm. I see a question here. What do you recommend for a 94-year-old who is having severe shoulder pain? She has never used Nikken products until I put her on Max Strides last week. Yeah, Max Strides are good for the feet, but they're not going to do anything for the shoulder. Listen, a lot of times, and not only for this question.
Put the Max Stride on the shoulder.
Yeah, a lot of times when we see Nikken, we just have the tendency of thinking that just a little thing, just a minor thing, put it at like somewhere or like it's what I call the magical effect. Everybody, and actually, I don't know if you know it, Dave, but even medicine from the old days, medicine is been very attached to 2 areas. One of them is witchcraft or magic, and the other one is butchery. That's why we got, first doctors, they came from those areas, because they were kind of the areas that they got most used to it. But it's funny when you see in the history of medicine that a lot of things is gotta have the tendency of magic. You got this tendency on your brain that there is something that is gonna, in a magical way, kind of get rid of anything that you are gonna have in a given time, and it's not really that. A lot of times, like you take a medication for like a pain medication or something, but that medication is not doing anything at all whatsoever with the hydration, with the amount of water that you need. It's not doing anything with the nutrition. It's not doing anything with the air that you breathe. It's not helping you any way whatsoever to release stress. So it's very important, because medications and chemicals have an indication. Now, if you have to take them, go ahead and do it. Why? Because now probably your body requires them, right? But go back to the basics, go back to the principles, start doing prevention on your body. If the cartilage of the body is 80% water, so hydrate your cartilage. The bones get bad because a lot of stress and a lot of acidity. Get rid of that, get rid of the stress through sleep, start getting a proper nutrition, all those things together, and now you see how your body start going back again into form. What would I recommend to a 94-year-old about Nikken? I would answer like this. What would I recommend to my baby girl? She's 2.5 years old, and what does she use of Nikken? Everything. Now, why she's using everything? Because I want to prevent for her to have all these type of situations in the future on the best of my knowledge. And the best of my knowledge is teaching me that it's way better to do prevention than just to wait for things to happen in the body. Sickness in the body are not something that are falling from the sky or from nowhere. No, they have a cause. They have a cause and effect. So the way that you start learning that there is a lot of things, and it's not really only one cause. People have the tendency to think that sickness are only because of one only reason. Most of the time, 99% of the time, all the sickness are not because one reason. It's because of a multitude of reasons that start coming together in order for the sickness to happen. It's like this. Let me show you something. You could probably people could relate to this. Okay, imagine that this is a bad weed. That this is like how you call it? Something, you know, not a tree, but something bad. Like in Colombia we call it when you have a farm, all those bad weeds, you know, that just goes into there. It has branches, and it has, you know, the trunk, and here is the root. We have the tendency to start working in all these areas and go to the branches. So if you have pain, then I'm going to give you a medication for pain. If you got inflammation, I'm going to give you a medication for inflammation. If you got acidic, then I'm going to give you an antacid, an antibiotic, an anti-inflammatory, an anti. And so people get the tendency to start gravitating into getting on the branches. And they always forget about the roots here, the cause of the sickness. So if you start just looking into getting rid of the results or the effects, and not start working on the roots of the problem, it's hard. And on the roots of the problem, 60% of those roots of the problems are lack of prevention, the 7 areas of prevention. 20% of a sickness is related to genetics, means that you have a gene that it has the information in order to have you a disposition in order to get into a sickness. Now, having a disposition, a predisposition, increased predisposition to have a sickness doesn't mean that you're going to have it either. It means that you got better chance to develop it, right? But if you counteract that with everything that you do with your body, it could be a person that it has the predisposition to have a heart attack, but then start doing all the type of prevention. Start getting antioxidants, essential amino acids, good rest and sleep, proper hydration, a lot of oxygen on the air that they're breathing, and good type of habits, exercise. They're never going to have a heart attack. On the contrary, you could have a person that it doesn't have the predisposition to that on your genes, but now it has way different things. A lot of stress, malnutrition, not exercise, not proper rest and relaxation, not sleeping well, not getting proper hydration, not feeding yourself in a proper way. 28, 30, 35 years old, and they got you know, heart attack with multiple arteries all clogged. So it's not only genetics. It has to be a lot with the way that we treat our body and ourselves. And that's what I like about this. It's a very practical way in order to start doing things for you. Here in the chat, what do you recommend for undergoing chemo? Oh, somebody that it's been under chemotherapy. Neuropathy in the feet, not diabetic, and experience pains in the feet after 5 years of M-stride. There is a lot of situations that for a person that goes into chemotherapy is a very tough situation for the body. Chemotherapy is been used to basically to kill cells, to kill bad cells. But at the same time, the bad cells kill good cells. So it kills everything. So everything that you do in order to let your body to, you know, to get back together, the sooner the better. Therefore, everything in nicotine is going to be mandatory, right? Nutrition, everything. But especially people start feeling that it helps them big time. There is a question here that what do you do with a person that is been with the pain on their feet and is using Magstride? Again, Magstrides are not everything that people are going to need if they got pain on their feet. See, we go back again to the magic. Okay, you got a problem with your feet. You got peripheral neuropathy. Oh, then I'm gonna give you a mag strides, and you're gonna be healed, and you're gonna be cured. Nah, that's not how it works. Mag strides, as good as they are, they could not give you hydration. They could not give you oxygenation. They could not give you amino acids. They could not give you antioxidants. They could not give you exercise. They could not give you releasing the stress. See what I'm talking about? So as good as they are, they're not everything that you need. So therefore, you need to start doing everything. The beauty with Niken is that we know now technology that could help you out big time in order for your body to be much better. And I haven't seen anybody with any type of situations on the body that are using everything we need can, and they don't find a release of at least 50% of the situations that they are having. A lot of times it's not going to get rid of everything at all, but it's going to be good enough to let people have a very good quality of life, and to relate much better with the family, with the day-to-day life, which is exactly what all this is about. That's probably one of my main recommendations for people is that, like, if you put it into me, in my way, I'm gonna tell you a very important testimonial, Dave, and it's that I'm a doctor. I went to medical school for so many years, and of course, I learned about prevention on my first years. Usually, medical doctors tend to have the tendency to forget all that because prevention, doesn't produce money. So we get more into, being a surgeon or being, these type of things, which is more appealing to us. It's a lot better. But then in that situation, and then I went back to school in order to do my specialization. But even though I got all this background, it was very hard for me to do prevention on myself. You talk to doctors, and they're not really doing very much prevention on themselves.
All you have to do is go to a hospital cafeteria and look around, and you
exactly.
There's a huge disconnect.
go talk to them. I mean, you have a life that you are with lack of sleep, and a lot of times because a lot of times you're on shift, and I remember back those days that a lot of times you just fall asleep on a chair. I mean, even once I was so tired, and people got so tired that you're able to go sleep standing up. You just lean into something, and then you real quick something, because it's just your body is completely drained, right? Like a horse, just like that. Was funny when you get to that point, you go like, we got to do something. But usually it's lack of sleep, it's a lot of stress, it's a very bad eating habits. It's not really a balanced nutrition. Usually you don't get hydrated properly. Usually, there is so many things that I was going like, wow, not even me, that I'm a doctor, I'm following the principles of prevention. One of the things, the beauty with Niken, is that it allows me, I call Niken, Dave, I call Niken prevention for dummies, or for lazy people. Really, because the only thing that you gotta do is to lay down. I mean, this is really, something. The only thing that I gotta do in order to get the most out of the product is to lay down on my bed, just put my blanket on, breathe the negative ions. A lot of times, the most things that I gotta do is to basically physically, take my water or the J green signs in order to get my nutrition. But for the most part, it's just that the cushion that I use now when I sit on the computer, and so I have my Niken sit, the accessories that I start wearing, the insoles. A lot of times just the part of putting the insoles inside of the shoes. I remember that I started putting the just one pair of insoles. Now I got insoles for all my shoes, but at the beginning. And why? Because I got a situation with the feet, and I was having a lot of problems. So my recommendation, and this is pretty much closing remarks. If you really want to get your body to work in a proper way, start going back organic, start going back prevention, start going back to everything that is going to let your body go way better. And you see the results on other people. That's what I've been doing. So I'll just have to apply myself. As I see how this worked for my dad and for so many other people, my common sense is going to tell me, go ahead and do it yourself. And that's what I'm doing now with my little baby. Now people are getting ready to say, oh my gosh, but Grace is so healthy and, doesn't have any type of situations with the lungs or anything. And I'll say, yeah, of course. I clean up the air that she breathes, at least meanwhile she's at home. And I, maintain her immune system in a proper way, the hydration, the proper amount of amino acids and everything. And it's great. And she learned it from little baby. She asked for her water. She got her bottle with the water. She doesn't have any problem eating greens. Why? Because since she was 5 months old, we start giving her the green signs and start teaching the taste of the mouth to taste that greens are good. So now for her, greens are great. This is what, she's been knowing. So that's great. Now, if you don't have that blessing to be able to learn how to do prevention since you were a little kid, start doing it now. We can do it. Just have to put the decisive decision into it. You don't have your mic, Dave. You're muted.
Oh, thank you. That is powerful stuff. Just when you mentioned being a little kid and starting out right, I'm just reminded of a book I've been reading, and it talks about how so many people, when they're young, how they became a doctor was because they had a loved one go through some challenges, and they were just kind of inspired. And I kind of think in my mind, I think if all of us look back, they're probably some of the most heartrending, difficult things that we could have is just to watch someone that we love deteriorate right before our eyes. And there's a book. It's got an interesting title, How Not to Die.
That's interesting.
And this is by Dr. Greger, but he actually kind of mentions that what triggered him on wanting to become a doctor was actually not seeing someone get sick, but seeing his grandmother, who he loved dearly, get better. And he talks about how when he was just this kid doing a lot of things with his grandmother, but over several years, she just kept having heart attacks and having bypass surgeries. And finally, there wasn't anything left to graft or patch, and she was sent home to die with horrible chest pain in a wheelchair. And she was only 65 years old. And then she was watching on 60 Minutes. And so this must have been in the 1980s. This is about when Nathan Pritikin and his clinic came out. And they were talking about dramatic reversals in heart disease, which is, an important thing. That's the number one killer is heart disease. And anyway, she got together what money she had and the effort, and flew halfway across the country to the Pritikin Institute in California. And she actually became one of their poster kids. And because in less than a year, she went in a wheelchair with pain, and she walked out and lived another 20 years in relatively very good health. And in fact, the thing that's really interesting is Pritikin himself had hardening of the arteries, and when he died, an autopsy revealed just very clean, elastic arteries. And as he thought about, and this is a pretty substantial book, but the whole idea was he saw something that is big business, doing intervention with all these medicines, surgeries, different things like that. He saw lifestyle changes, nutrition and exercise reverse this. And he thought, well, maybe, what about all of these other diseases? And in fact, even to this day, if you have heart problems, you know, they might say, well, you know, don't do this or don't do that. But mostly it's still intervention therapy that costs a whole lot of money. And there's a lot of studies that have gone on since Pritikin, Dr. Ornish and others, that it can be reversed. And so the whole idea of the rest of the book is all of these myriad of other problems. Is there natural solutions to those as well? And you kind of alluded to that earlier, that yeah, but they don't cost enough. And the medicine industry is driven, of course, by profit, and how can we increase our profits? And you know, that's kind of a yucky way to think about it, but just the reality of market forces, and just picking up any turn on the TV or open any magazine. And just as likely, just turning it on or flipping the page, you're going to see all of this happiness, sunshine, people walking around, beautiful flowers, because they're taking some drug. And then, of course, the page on the other side is fine print of all the bad things that might happen to you, or on the TV, blah, 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 may cause this or that. And I think, what in the heck, you know? And oh my goodness, I really think we have a better way. And it's fascinating that we really are in a growth industry. This is a time to share and offer people, I think, really wonderful answers, just like this. And this is a wonderful thing to leave. How not to die, how to live, how to live abundantly, vibrantly, healthily, and that's what we want to do. So anyway, thank you so much. And any just final thoughts from you, Dr. Patino?
Yeah, Dave, I would like to, you know, wrap around. I see a couple more questions here that I haven't responded specifically, but they are on the area of this, and let me wrap it around with this. Some of the questions are asking me how could I introduce magnets to people, or how the magnetism. I don't know if you have noticed it, but when I talk to people, I don't introduce magnetism to people. I'm not an expert on magnetism. Actually, I don't even know how magnetism works. What I do know is how the technologies that Niken has have a reaction onto the body. So that calls my attention. And one of the technologies that they use is magnetism, but it's not the only one. So basically what I have seen is that the combination of magnetism, the far infrared, the nutrition, the hydration, the ventilation, I mean, everything goes into play and finally get a summatory effect that is finally going to give the result. So that's why I am not so inclined to tell the people, or like if I see somebody and they see, doctor, tell me about an alternative or something, and I'll say, you know what? You need to use magnets. I never use those words. It's just not in me. It's just I don't recommend to use magnets. They say, wait a minute, but the sleep system has magnets, and I say, yeah, it's one of the things. Okay, it's one of the parts of the effect that I want to teach you. But basically, what I'm introducing to people is a very practical way to improve the quality of life, to get your body surrounded of the areas of prevention that your body needs, that includes different technologies that people don't know very much about, like far infrared, like magnetism, like proper hydration, like negative ions, and nutrition. Now, when you put that together, then you're going to have a result. So therefore, if you're asking me, how could I help somebody with rheumatoid arthritis, or asthma, or lupus, or a peripheral neuropathy, or whatever, I'm not going to say, okay, for rheumatoid arthritis, okay, put this on your shoulder. For the neuropathy pain, put these insoles on your feet. See, I don't classify like, by sickness. And so, no. I'm going to tell them, listen, you have to go back to the basics. You need to start doing prevention. And the areas on preventions are 7. So I'm not saying, use a magnet and you're going to be healed. Doesn't work that way. But if you start doing everything, now you're going to cause an effect on your body that is going to feel way better. It's going to start having more vasodilatation. It's going to start diminishing the situations that are having. And a lot of times, probably not all that much that you want it. But any type of thickness that you have, if you put a stop on it, if you could break, a lot of times all these degenerative diseases and all these things are chronic. Degenerative means, they're going to go longer. It's like prevention. Remember that I told last Saturday, it's like having an apple. If that apple is completely good, fresh, perfect, that's your body when it's healthy, right? But if that one piece of an apple got rotten, that means that it's like when you're having a sickness. You're not doing prevention specifically to get that rotten piece back to normal. No, you're doing prevention to prevent the rest of the apple to get rotten. That's so simple. So if you're not doing that, and now you're in a situation that you got a piece of your body rotten, start working for the rest of the body that you still have in order for not to get the same way. That's basically what it is. And thank you very much for everybody that are so enthusiastic and giving me a lot of encouragement messages here, and that they like it very much. I'm really glad that it happened. It's my pleasure. God bless you all and bless your business. And thank you very much, Dave. Awesome presentation.
Hey, you're awesome. Appreciate all you do for us, and let's go share the good word. And everyone have a wonderful rest of the weekend. What a way to kick it off. Sure love you all. And Dr. Patino, I'm glad you're my friend. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dave. God bless you guys.
Bye.